Sarah had always wanted a house with a porch swing. Her new home in the quiet town of Hollow Creek had one, painted a cheerful white. The house, a Victorian with gables and a widow's walk, was full of promise. Sarah was starting fresh. Boxes lined the hallways, waiting to be unpacked. The air smelled of dust and old wood. Sunlight slanted through the lace curtains, illuminating motes of dust. Sarah felt a shiver. It wasn't from the cold. Later, while unpacking dishes, Sarah heard it. A whisper, faint and indistinct. It seemed to come from the walls themselves. She paused, holding her breath, but there was nothing. Just the house settling, she murmured. As dusk fell, shadows stretched across the walls. Sarah worked on, unpacking a box filled with framed photos. Her fingers brushed against a cold spot on the wall. It felt unnaturally frigid. A wave of unease washed over her. The whispers continued. Each night they grew louder, more insistent. Sarah tried to ignore them, but they followed her from room to room, echoing in the emptiness. They seemed to come from the walls, slithering out of the woodwork. One night, Sarah woke to a bone-chilling cold. Her breath formed clouds in the air. The whispers were loud now, circling her bed. A white mist gathered at the foot of her bed, swirling and shifting. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced her. She scrambled back against the headboard, her heart pounding against her ribs. The mist solidified, forming the shape of a woman. Her hair was long and black, her face hidden in shadow. "Go away," Sarah choked out, her voice a trembling whisper. The figure remained motionless, its white dress glowing in the darkness. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it vanished. The whispers faded, leaving behind an echoing silence. Desperate for answers, Sarah researched the history of her new home. The local librarian, a kindly old woman with a knowing smile, directed her to the town archives. Sarah spent hours poring over dusty records. She discovered that her home had once belonged to a wealthy merchant named Elias Thorne. His wife, Eliza, was known for her beauty and her delicate health. She died young, under mysterious circumstances. Local rumors whispered of a broken heart and a restless spirit. Sarah found a faded portrait of Eliza Thorne tucked away in a dusty corner of the archive. The woman in the painting was beautiful, with hauntingly sad eyes. She wore a white dress that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. That night, Sarah dreamed of Eliza Thorne. The woman in her dream was weeping, her face a mask of sorrow. "Help me," she whispered, her voice echoing with a chilling urgency. Sarah woke with a start, the dream clinging to her like cobwebs. The whispers intensified, driving Sarah to the edge of madness. She knew she had to confront the entity haunting her home. Armed with a flashlight and a growing sense of dread, she descended into the dark, earthen cellar. The air was thick with the smell of mildew and decay. Cobwebs brushed against her face. Sarah swept the beam of her flashlight across the damp stone walls, her heart pounding in her chest. The whispers seemed louder down here, closer. Suddenly the flashlight flickered and died, plunging Sarah into darkness. A cold hand closed around her wrist. She gasped, struggling against the grip. "Who's there?" she cried, her voice echoing in the darkness. A cold, ethereal light filled the cellar. Standing before Sarah was the ghostly figure of Eliza Thorne. Her eyes glowed with an eerie light, her expression a mixture of sorrow and rage. "You're in my house," she hissed, her voice a chilling whisper. Fear threatened to overwhelm Sarah, but she stood her ground. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice trembling. Eliza's form flickered, her expression shifting between rage and despair. "He killed me," she whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. "My own husband." Eliza's story unfolded, a tale of betrayal, jealousy, and murder. Elias, consumed by greed, had poisoned his wife for her inheritance. He buried her body in the cellar, hoping to hide his crime. But Eliza's spirit, unable to find peace, remained trapped in the house. As Eliza spoke, a cold wind whipped through the cellar. The temperature plummeted, and Sarah felt a bone-chilling cold seep into her bones. The air grew heavy, difficult to breathe. Eliza's form wavered, her image becoming more and more distinct. "He must pay," Eliza hissed, her voice filled with rage. The ghostly figure of Eliza Thorne lunged towards Sarah, her eyes blazing with fury. Sarah screamed, her voice echoing in the darkness. Then, everything went black. When Sarah awoke, she was lying on the cold cellar floor. The sun streamed through the cellar door, casting long shadows across the dusty floor. Had it all been a dream? A shiver ran down her spine. She could still feel the icy touch of Eliza's hand on her wrist. Sarah fled the house, never to return. But the memory of Eliza Thorne, the lady in white, haunted her still. She couldn't escape the feeling that Eliza's story was not over, that her restless spirit still searched for peace. And Sarah knew, with a chilling certainty, that she would never be truly free from the haunting presence in the house on Harlow Street.